Isaiah Graves.
Good evening and welcome to the Cape Atlantic League semifinals here from Hammonton High School, Hammonton, New Jersey. My name's Tony Blum, along with Buddy Tarbotton. And Buddy, we were talking before we went on the air. This may be the four best teams in the semis ever. In the first one, Atlantic City taking on St. Augustine for the second time this season. The Hermits winning the first at Atlantic City.
It's talking about this game, upcoming to this. Obviously, all these teams had to win on Monday, which they all did, and everybody felt that they would. Although Wildwood Catholic squeaked by with Millville missing a layup at the buzzer that could have put Millville here instead of the second game being Wildwood Catholic. But that being said, these two teams, the St. Augustine Prep and Atlantic City High, they are both very, very well coached and very talented, and they play different styles, but they both play to get after it. They're both aggressive teams, and as you said, Tone, I mean, we're talking about sometimes you try and draw it up in the preseason, and it never comes out that way. I know it never works that way when I pick my brackets for the NCAA pool. I never end up with the four best, but this tournament, which has created so much excitement in the Cape Atlantic League, a little entertainment here on the media stand, as long as nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
But this tournament was a great idea, a great formula, and hey, tonight it's going to be two great games. So if you're not on your way here or you're not here, just sit back and right now you can obviously you're viewing this game on 97.3 ESPN.com, and at 6 o'clock we will be joined on the FM station. But this is going to be one great night of high school basketball.
No question. Starting for Atlantic City, they are the number 3 seed. Isaiah Graves, Lamar Thomas, Dennis White, Kevin Allen, and Tashad Reynolds. And for St. Augustine, it'll be Saeed Nelson, Nathan Siegel, Mike Lastoria, Ryan Seward, and Stephen Corbo. The tap is controlled by Atlantic City. Here's Isaiah Graves, and he is their leading scorer at 19 a game, coming off 21 against St. Joe's to get him here. Dennis White, 6'5" senior. Down low it goes to Thomas, loose on the floor, and picked up by Vastori, gives off to Nelson. Nelson, double team, cross-court pass for Kennedy. Kennedy, left-hand corner, puts on the floor. Cross-court bullet pass picked off by Graves. He's ahead of everybody. Nelson giving chase. He scoops, he hits, it's going to count. And the foul.
Well, needless to say, not a good turnover by the Hermits, but Atlantic City doing what they do so well, Tony, is creating havoc, and they score in transition off of those turnovers. Nelson picks up his team's first. That wasn't a very good foul. He let him score. If you're going to foul and pick up your first foul that early in the game, you got to not let him get the layup. It's a three-point play now.
3-0. Atlantic City with the early lead, and we want to correct, it's Kevin Kennedy getting the start over Seward, right-hand corner. It's Siegel. Here's Kennedy calling out the set play, and now for Nelson. Atlantic City has to key on him, and they want to keep him in front of them. If he can penetrate, it's bad news for Atlantic City, good news for the Hermits. Kennedy, cross court for Siegel with a step down the lane for the scoop that is good over Dennis White.
Great move that time by Nate Siegel. I mean, he just put the ball on the floor right side, and he got to the rack, used the glass, scores the bucket.
Right sideline, it's Reynolds. They swing it deep along the left sideline for Thomas. He's a three-point sharpshooter, but overshoots there, and the rebound comes off to Siegel. Siegel cut off, now tipped away from Nelson, recovers. Kennedy throws it into the backcourt. Here's Reynolds chasing it down. He's down the lane, scoops, and he hits.
And again, another turnover, another 2 points for the Vikings.
5-second violation called on Corbo, trying to trigger. Gene Allen clapping next to us with his approval. That's what they do.
1:49 into the game, 6:11 to go here in the opening quarter, and the Hermits have turned it over uncharacteristically 3 times already.
Graves deep in the left-hand corner for the jump, no good, but here's Reynolds cutting in, and he follows off glass.
And again, no weak side rebound in that time by St. Augustine. And Graves able to come in, Reynolds, and get that weak side rebound, lay it up off the glass. 7-2, Atlantic City on top here in the early going.
And Reynolds goes 5'8", buddy, so not what you'd call tall. Here's Kennedy working off the pick from Vastoria. To Vastoria, head of the key, hands off to Nelson as he comes to meet it. Calls out that set play. To the left sideline. Back the other way. Gives off to Corbo. Left-hand corner for Siegel. Pump fake. Now the jump off the back of the rim, and the rebound comes off to Thomas.
Good defensive job that time by Isaiah Graves. He contested that, made that shot very difficult.
Speaking of Graves, he circles to the left sideline. Works off the pick from Kevin Allen. Down the lane with the step and the scoop, no good. But here's White for the foul. That is good.
And there's another offensive rebound and another putback by the Vikings. And Coach Paul Rodia, he has seen enough. He calls a quick timeout, a 30-second timeout, 5:02 to go. His team trailing right now, right here in the first quarter, 9-2.
Cape Atlantic League basketball is brought to you by Ulmer's Appliance Service with 4 offices to serve you. Phone 609-399-4398 for information. Ulmer's Appliance Service. And by Remax at the Shore, the Jersey Shore real estate experts. Phone 609-523-9494 and let the experts find you a home at the Shore. 5:02 left, opening quarter. Atlantic City on top quickly by 7. 9-2, and it's been their defense that has done it thus far, and that's exactly what they want to happen in this game.
And that's the trademark, that's the signature of this Atlantic City Vikings team, Tony. They like to create a lot of pressure and in transition creating turnovers and scoring off their fast break. And that's a great recipe if you can force those turnovers as they have here tonight in the early going, and they're putting the ball in the basket.
Here's Nelson with penetration on the floater that is no good, but he was fouled. Let's see if they're going to call it a 2-shot foul. Reynolds picks it up, a push, and he will be shooting 2.
Teams first.
So Nelson, who is really the key to this team, as he goes, pretty much so go the Hermits, because he can penetrate, he can hit from 3, excellent free throw shooter. First is good, 84% from the line on the season for Nelson.
Yes,
just a sophomore.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Tony. The kid is very exciting and plays very mature for a sophomore.
Hits them both. 9-4 now, the Vikings. Graves to the forecourt, left side, off the pick from Allen. Continues, outside for White for the pull-up. Short, rebound loose, and a whistle.
And that was a good call. And again, Dennis White missing the short little jump shot, but he was draped all over. It wasn't like that was a hard foul, but it was the type of foul that had to be called because it was right in front of the officials. His first, team's second. 4:28 to play first quarter. It's 9-4, Atlantic City on top.
Kennedy, right sideline. Now reverse, gives off to Nelson. Nelson, right side, 4-3. Way off, short. Rebound grab by Corbo, but I think they say he may have stepped on the end line. He will check out along with Kennedy. Checking back in is, or checking in, I should say, Seward. And also Mutz, who had an outstanding game against the Vikings first time. Down the lane, it's Graves. His floater is short, and the rebound taken off by Seward. Seward accelerating on Graves to the forecourt. And Graves is called for the hold.
And that time, Isaiah Graves just did not do a good job moving his feet. He needs to get down lower, move his feet, slide, get ahead. Instead, he was straight up with Seward, and Seward was able to draw the contact as he was blowing by him off the dribble.
So Siegel, the trigger. Inbound pass comes to Nelson. Nelson brings it outside against Reynolds. And I think Gene Allen was making that point that you made on the air to his player, Isaiah Graves. Outside, it's Mutz. Mutz bullets right-hand corner for Siegel for the jumper that is short. Rebound with great position taken off by White.
And that has been the difference here in the early going. Atlantic City is limiting the Hermits to one shot, where the Vikings down on their offensive end have been able to get a couple of putbacks.
Thomas deep along the left sideline, outside for White. Sends right side for Reynolds. Reynolds looking for help, puts on the floor. Leaves it for Graves. Checks with Gene Allen, his coach. They look to run the offense to Thomas, right sideline. Outside for White. White has a notion, but decides against it. Here's Graves. Free throw line, and he's called for steps. Look to duck under and then hit the floater, but he picked up that pivot foot.
Well, Brian Seward did a good job there defensively. He didn't go for the fake, and he made Graves try and make an extra move. And once you pick your dribble up, you can't make that extra move without walking.
Kevin Allen now picks up a foul on Vastoria, looking to deny him the basketball, and that is his first.
Yes, that would be Kevin Allen's first, team's fourth.
Inbound pass nearly stolen by Graves, who looks to knock it off the foot of Seward, but they say Graves last touched it. So 4 team fouls with 3 minutes left in the first. The likelihood is they're going to be over the limit. Long pass to Vastoria. No good. The follow also no good by Mutz. He missed an easy one. Here's Reynolds down the lane for the scoop that is good. He just blew by his defender. 11-4 as Nelson's down the lane. Leaves it for Siegel, who drives and hits. And he was fouled. Great look there by Nelson, but that's what he does.
Absolutely, and that time nobody stopped his dribble. Nobody got out in front of Syed. See Nelson. Nelson, using his left hand, pushed it down the left side of the floor, was able to dump it off to his teammate, Nate Segal. And Segal did a great job drawing contact and finishing, so he goes to the line for the three-point play the old-fashioned way. And that foul was Dennis White, and that's his second, Tony. Team's fifth.
Free throw is good. Prevard is checked in. Jameer Prevard for Atlantic City, replacing Dennis White. 2:34 left, opening quarter. Atlantic City up 11-7. They have led throughout. Here's Graves. Right-hand corner, Reynolds. Outside Graves. He's all alone for the jumper, but it's off the back of the rim, and Vastoria there to snare it. For Nelson. Nelson walks it to the right side. Sends left sideline for Siegel. Fires outside for Seward. Deals right sideline for Nelson. Nelson puts on the floor. Watched by Allen on the switch. Down low, Vastoria's got a mismatch against Reynolds. Down low, it goes to Siegel, but Siegel also shuffles the feet.
And that time, that takes a basket away from St. Augustine. Did a good job. They got him the ball in good position, but he was, as you said, he shuffled his feet before he was able to attempt a shot. Atlantic City calls a timeout. 1:49 to go here in the opening quarter. The Vikings on top, 11-7.
Boardwalk Honda Game of the Week is produced by Prime Events on 97.3fm.com. Check out their online inventory at boardwalkhonda.com. Live coverage of Atlantic City Vikings basketball is brought to you in part by Dino's of Margate. Open 7 days a week from 7 till 11:30 p.m., serving award-winning subs and pizza. And a great breakfast menu, too. Dino's delivers all over, including to the beaches. Call 822-6602. Dino's, 8016 Ventnor Avenue in Margate. And by the 4A Bike Shop, 5300 Ventnor Avenue in Ventnor, with quality bicycles and exceptional service for over 25 years. It's the best bike shop at the Jersey Shore. Dino's of Margate and 4A Bike Shop wish the Atlantic City Vikings the best of luck in the Cape Atlantic League tournament. So the Vikings with a basketball and a 4-point lead, 1:45 left, opening quarter. Graves with the basketball left side. Seward watches him. Up high to Kevin Allen with a pump fake, and Allen likewise as they exchange traveling violations. Travels and goes back to St. Augustine.
And that time, the big sophomore, Mike Vistoria, actually did a very good job defensively, not going for the initial pump fake, holding his ground and causing Kevin Allen to make an additional move, and he'd already used up his dribble, and therefore he walks.
Here's Nelson circling to his right against the shot. Reynolds gives off to Vastoria. Left-hand corner, Kennedy partially deflected and taken off now by Graves. A good defense. Graves loses from behind. Here's Kennedy right side. Kennedy leaves it for Nelson. Nelson underneath to Mutz, backing his way for the scoop. Wow. It is good. The spin, the scoop, and the two.
That was a big-time move by the freshman, Justin Mutz, and he pulls his team to within two. Atlantic City has gone over 3 minutes without scoring a bucket. 11-9, they still hold the lead.
Kevin Allen down low. Kevin Allen with a pump fake on the follow, and Kevin Allen is fouled. And Gene Allen was, I remember he talked to me after that St. Augustine loss, and he said, we've got to get Kevin Allen more involved in the offense. And he's played much better since that game. And you can see there, he is very tenacious on the boards, missed it, but then stayed with it and picked up a chance for two.
I think it's typical of any big man. They need to touch the ball on the offensive end if you want them to bang and do what they need to do down the defensive end, rebound, and do all the little dirty hustle things, so to speak. The stuff that doesn't show up in the scorebook. You got to let them touch the ball every so often down the offensive end to keep them motivated.
Second is also good by Kevin Allen, who has a very nice stroke at the free throw line. Is checking in is Jerome Chai for Atlantic City. He's 6'4". A little more size in there for Atlantic City with White sitting down. Here's Nelson along the left sideline. Nelson sprinting. Nelson down the lane. Nelson for the scoop. It is no good. Back tap taken by Kennedy. Short jump is good.
Well, in that time, St. Augustine had numbers. Even though Nelson wasn't able to get the initial shot to go down, they were able to get an offensive rebound and score on the putback.
And here's Reynolds driving the left baseline, but he too in this travel fest in the first quarter turns it over. 13-11 now is St. Augustine with an opportunity to tie or even take the lead with a three.
Everybody has to be a little bit more patient for Atlantic City with the ball. They see, their eyes are getting big. They see what they think is a lane to the basket, and before they put the ball on the floor, they're taking off.
Vastoria looking to drive the baseline, but holding his ground was Lamar Thomas, and Vastoria, the much bigger player, just runs over him.
Yeah, that time Mike Vastoria tried to drive that right baseline, but let's give Lamar Thomas a lot of credit. Much taller and bigger player, although Lamar Thomas, you can see he's put together. But he does take that offensive foul.
Here's Pavard, doesn't get it off, I don't believe. There was only 6.2 seconds left when he got the inbound pass and didn't get it off in time. So we've played one in this first semifinal of the Cape Atlantic League Tournament, and Atlantic City on top, 13-11. Boardwalk Honda Game of the Week is produced by Prime Events on 97.3fm.com. Brian Brummel and his professional staff are waiting to serve you at Boardwalk Honda on Tilton Road in Lake Harbor Township. Live coverage of Atlantic City Vikings basketball brought to you in part by Vagabond Kitchen and Tap House, just down the street from Atlantic City High School. The neighbor with the best burgers. Vagabond features 9th period happy hour every Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Vagabond Kitchen and Tap House is open weeknights till 1 a.m. until 3 a.m. on Friday and Saturday nights. Join your fellow Viking fans at Vagabond. So we are through one, buddy, and Atlantic City took the lead right from the outset. They lead 13-11 here as St. Augustine has come back to close it to just two.
And, Atlantic City jumps out to that 9-2 lead. Then they were up 11-4. Then they went a long period where they did not score a field goal. Matter of fact, they probably went the last 4 minutes of that first quarter without scoring a field goal. Kevin Allen made 2 free throws to give them the 12th and 13th point, and they are up 2.
On the inbound pass, as you saw, Lamar Thomas just runs into Saeed Nelson, looking to deny him the basketball. I mean, they're pretty much going to do anything to try to keep the ball out of his hands because they know how important he is to this attack of the Hermits. Now Graves takes over, guarding Nelson. Right sideline, it's Nelson. Check that, I should say Siegel, pardon me. Now here's Vastoria circling to his right. Hands to Seward, and he's run into by Thomas. So back-to-back bumping fouls by Lamar Thomas. He's looking over at the sideline. Gene Allen not upset. I guess you could say that he's happier with a foul of aggression or trying to play good defense than he is a foul that's just a mental mistake.
Well, those 2 fouls, the first and second personals on Lamar Thomas, but that's the 7th team foul. So that sends Seward to the line for a 1-and-1, which he misses the first.
Right sideline, it's Pavard. Up high it goes to Allen. The jumper is off the back of the rim, and the rebound is tapped by Pavard, and a whistle on the rebound.
And they're going to get that foul on number 25, Nate Segal. That's going to be his first, team's 4th. But again, another offensive rebound on the weak side, and Atlantic City doesn't score, but they draw the foul and keep the basketball.
Here's Reynolds at center court. Deep along the left sideline for Graves. He's going to take a long one. Off the front of the rim, no good, and the rebound comes down to Seward. Ahead for the running Siegel, who's down the lane. And he scoops, and he hits. 13 all.
Siegel might have gotten away with a walk when he initially caught that, but nonetheless, he's able to then regather himself, put the ball on the floor, and go strong to the basket to tie this game up.
Look at Reynolds with a stutter step and the spin, but Mutt says not down here.
I'll tell you what, Justin Mutt's great help side defense. And he did. He told Reynolds, get that stuff out of here.
The jumper by Reynolds, 2 rebound by Mutz, and now at the other end, Siegel again.
And a great job by St. Augustine that time. They rebound and ran. Great outlet pass. They had numbers, very unselfish, found the open man, went left to right, and they got themselves a nice layup and the first lead of the game. 15-13, 6:17 to play in the second quarter.
Right-hand corner, it's Reynolds. Outside for Pavard, swing it left side for Graves. Graves has not been on here in this first quarter. Here's Pavard, long-range jump off the back of the rim, and here's the rebound coming down to Graves. Follows, and he hits.
And again, another second opportunity, and Atlantic City cashes it in.
Here's Saeed Nelson down the lane.
Tough move.
Yeah. Had pressure from Reynolds, but able to contort his body and make it down the lane. It's Graves, has it poked away. Here's Siegel, cross court to Nelson. No good. Rebound taken by Pavard, and again, the good position there on the rebound by Pavard. And Atlantic City, as you mentioned earlier, buddy, has done a great job on the defensive boards. They are limiting them to one shot, and they're just getting real good position.
Well, they're rebounding tonight exceptionally well. They're hitting the offensive glass, giving themselves second and third opportunities, and as you just said, they're limiting the Hermits to one opportunity. If they miss, Atlantic City rebounds. That was not a real good shot that time by Nelson, and the result is that Nate Segal picks up his second, team's 5th.
Left-hand corner, Graves. Down low it goes to Kevin Allen, cuts in, and he hits. So Graves to Allen, and Allen finishes the job.
Kevin Allen that time with a great drop step move. He catches the ball on the left block, uses his body well, and takes the ball right to the freshman Mutz. Scores it. Now we're tied at 17. 5 minutes to play here in period number 2.
Graves now on Nelson. To Vastoria, right sideline, returns to Nelson. Graves, of course, much taller than the 5'8" Nelson, but Nelson with a quickness advantage. Here's Seward on Pavard. outside for Vastoria. Vastoria gives off to Nelson, deals right-hand corner for Seward, drives the baseline, but good defense and can't get the shot away. Graves with a rebound, up court to Reynolds, easy for 2.
And that time Atlantic City playing good half-court defense. Then they get that defensive rebound off the miss, and Reynolds leaking out ahead of the pack. And because they played with their heads up, they recognize and they throw it the length of the floor. They get a layup. Atlantic City back on top, 19-17. St. Augustine calls a timeout.
4:26 left in the first half. The Boardwalk Honda Game of the Week is produced by Prime Events on 97.3 ESPN.com. Connect with Brian Brummel and the sales staff at Boardwalk Honda. So Atlantic City back on top, 19-17. They have led, as we mentioned, for most of this first half. They have been doing an excellent job, as Buddy has been telling you all first half, on the backboards, both defensively and offensively, have gotten second and third opportunities.
Once St. Augustine gets the answer to eliminate that, they need to do a better job, obviously, boxing out Atlantic City, keeping them off the offensive glass. That is what has kept the Vikings in able to maintain this first half lead.
Here's Seward. Good defense by Brevard. Now works off Corbin on the switch. Nolan picks him up. Kennedy down the lane. Kennedy for the scoop. That is good. Just got it to go.
Coach Gene Allen not happy with the way Kennedy went down the lane. He thinks he got away with a walk initially. 19-19, 3:42 to go, second quarter.
Here's Graves. Brevard right sideline. Returns to Graves. Reynolds in the left-hand corner. They continue to work the offense, which has to please Gene Allen. He's trying to get them to do exactly what he wants them to do. He might be calling a timeout here if he doesn't see what he wants. He's calling out a set play as Isaiah Graves. Now here's Reynolds, deep in the left-hand corner. Brevard, jumper!
And he's fouled.
And he ended up off the court, did Brevard, and hit the 3.
They're going to call Steve Corbo, number 41, who came off the bench for that foul. And Brevard will go to the line. He knocks down that jump shot from the baseline.
Yeah, tough shot.
Yes, it was. He was open. He got a good arc, good follow through. And Corbo tried to get out with his hand up. And he left his feet, which is a major mistake when you're trying to defend a jump shot from that far out.
Free throw's no good. Siegel's back in along with Mutz, replacing Kennedy and Corbo for St. Augustine. 22-19 off the 3. Nelson to Mutz. Talk about a future. Mutz is a freshman and Nelson is a sophomore.
And Vastoria, sophomore. Another sophomore.
Yeah. Here's Nelson. Nelson. Underneath to Vastoria for the short jump. And he connects for his first 2. He can stick the outside jumper if you give him room. He's not going to create, but he can stick it.
He's a strong, very, very fundamental player. And as you said, leave him open from that distance, and he's going to knock it down. Again, the freshman Nelson and the 2 sophomores. The freshman Mutz and the sophomores Nelson and Vastoria.
Here's Allen driving the baseline, cuts in and drops it home again. He's very strong driving the baseline is Allen.
Well, that time he's able to beat Seward off the dribble, Tony, and there was no help side defense by the Prep to come over and take that away on that right baseline. And he did a good job coming back up under the rim, using the glass and scoring, and not a good foul.
Yeah, well, they switched off the pick by Mutz. Nolan came over to pick up Nelson and bodied him. And again, the 1-and-1, they are in the penalty. Next foul by the Hermits, and Atlantic City will be shooting the 1-and-1.
1:52 to play here in the second quarter. 24-21, Atlantic City on top.
Nelson hits the first, as we mentioned. Hits it 84% from the free throw line as Jai gets set to come back in, and he replaces Allen. Nelson will get another. Nelson, a 5'8" sophomore. Second is also good.
And St. Augustine's done a great job in cutting their turnovers down after having a shaky start. In the first 2 minutes, they've only turned it over 5 times here in the first half. 4 of those had to come in the first couple minutes, Tony.
Here's Saeed Nelson putting on the defensive pressure. Picked up by Graves. 3-on-2. Hands it to Nolan, and Nolan is called for traveling. So all of a sudden, Saeed Nelson just seemed to turn it on the defense and really gave Reynolds problems. And it was picked up by Graves, but then they lose it, as checking in for Atlantic City now is Jamal Williams replacing Nolan. So Atlantic City, Gene Allen is going to his bench here in this game, and he might be thinking later on, I need my players fresh as they up the defensive pressure as they normally do in the second half, especially the fourth quarter. Here's Siegel. Siegel outside for Seward. Seward, right-hand corner for Vastoria, and he is called for traveling. I'd love to see. We'll get you those statistics after the first half, but there's got to be, 8, 9, 10 turnovers, traveling violations in this first half.
Yeah, that both teams have been guilty of, from the outside, too. They're looking for a jump shot. They put the ball in a little pump fake, then they go to drive, and instead of putting the ball down and not walking, they walk first.
There's Graves with a follow and the putback. Of course, he goes with the left hand because he's a left-hander. A lot of times you're not used to defending the lefties. Here's Nelson, 26-23 with 45 seconds left. First half of play. Atlantic City on top.
That's a good point, Tony, because you've often said that does give a left-handed player an advantage.
Nelson.
Such a right-handed dominated game.
Cross-court pass for Vastoria. Vastoria touches it last, and Atlantic City can hold for one here. Of course, Atlantic City, though, Bud, they have White, they have Graves. They are both left-handers, so unusual.
Yep. And actually, the last person to touch that ball was Atlantic City coach Gene Allen.
But they still gave it to his team. So just holding the basketball, as you see, to Shad Reynolds. And as long as St. Augustine's not going to come up and pressure the ball, he can do whatever he wants. Here's Reynolds down the lane for the scoop that is no good. Rebound comes off to Mutz. Ahead for Nelson with 2 seconds left. Nelson with a pull-up. No good at the buzzer.
Tough shot. A very tough shot, but Nelson did a great job with time running out of pushing that ball down the floor and getting a pretty decent look.
No question about it, but it didn't go, and Atlantic City leads it 26-23. So we've played one half of play in this first semifinal of the Cape Atlantic League Tournament. Atlantic City up 26-23. Atlantic City, the number 3 seed, and St. Augustine, the number 2 seed. Hermits come in at 21-3. Atlantic City 17-6. Well, under the Flood Insurance Reform Act of 2012, you can save more than $90,000 over 10 years if you build 3 feet above base flood elevation. The all-star staff at Baumgardner House Lifting can attend to all of your house-raising needs. The Baumgardner family has 65 years of combined experience in general construction. Visit BaumgardnerHouselifting.com or call toll-free 855-324-2700. Baumgardner House Lifting, restoring the Jersey Shore one home at a time. And the Boardwalk Honda Game of the Week is produced by Prime Events on 97.3 ESPN.com. Boardwalk Honda wants your car, and they're paying top dollar. Visit BoardwalkHonda.com. So Tony Blum, Buddy Tarbotton here at halftime. First game, 26-23. Atlantic City leads it over the Hermits of St. Augustine. So, Buddy, a very good first half of play. Atlantic City raced to a 7-point lead, but then St. Augustine coming back strong, and they now just trail it by 3.
And both teams, a lot of intensity, which was what we expected in that first 16 minutes, Tony. Both teams want to win, want to advance. Obviously, a lot of pride in both of these programs. And we were talking about the turnovers. Both teams turned it over 7 times in that first half for a combined 14 turnovers, and probably 9 of those were traveling violations, where they were just catching the ball and a little too excited to go to on the wing or out at the top of the key to try and get to the rim, and they were shuffling their feet before they were putting that initial dribble down. So that made it a little bit tough. But as we look at that stat sheet in the first half, Isaiah Graves led the way. Tashad Reynolds led the way for the Vikings. He had 8. Graves had 7. Kevin Allen had 6. Jamar Prevard had 3, and Dennis White 2, which gives the total of 26 for the Vikings. For the Prep, Saeed Nelson had 6, Nate Segal had 9, Kevin Kennedy had 4, and Mike Vistoria and Justin Mutz 2 apiece for their total of 23. But one of the big things that we were looking at was on the boards. Atlantic City has out-rebounded St. Augustine 15-10, and the offensive rebounds, the Vikings with 7 offensive rebounds, the Hermits with just 2. So Atlantic City has done a good job, one, hitting their glass and getting second and third opportunities, and limiting, I should say, the Hermits to 1 shot. And then that is really the reason that they're up 3 here right now in this first half.
Very entertaining game, and we expect the second one will also be an extremely competitive game, as you can hear that game on 97.3 ESPN FM. And that will be Mike Gill and Ryan Kniff coming up. And you've seen Wildwood Catholic quite a few times this season, and I've seen Holy Spirit. And as we know, Wildwood Catholic with the last-second shot in the Battle by the Bay to beat Holy Spirit in a very competitive game. What can we expect?
Well, I think you're going to see exactly the same type of game here tonight. Holy Spirit obviously looking to get some revenge on that loss at Atlantic City High in the Battle by the Bay. When Holy Spirit comes out and they move the ball fluently offensively, they are very dangerous, because they have guys. I mean, they don't just have one guy, Junior Santil, that can score. They got Leon Daniels. They got a couple guys that really are good offensive players. And when they get in that flow and they're sharing the ball, they are a very, very dangerous team. And Wildwood Catholic, on the other hand, with Jordan Robertson, him and Santil are a great matchup, very, very entertaining. And then you have Eddie McWade for the Crusaders, the big, strong 6'4" lefty. He gets the ball down low. It's lights out. I mean, it's all over. So, they both have good guards. Catholic with Cook and Kevin McWade. And it's just going to be another great 32 minutes of basketball.
No question about it. I mean, I think that I haven't seen Catholic play, but I think that top to bottom, when you look at teams in the Cape Atlantic League, talent-wise, I think Holy Spirit has the best team, the deepest team. I mean, Middleton's a very good player. You've got, as you said, Daniels, got Santil, you've got Taylor, 6'5" junior. So they've got, and they bring Jones off the bench, another 6'5" player, youngster.
They're big. You're right. They're big, they're talented, and they are deep.
Yeah.
That's a great point. They are probably the deepest of the 4. They probably go the deepest talent-wise. Some teams can play 8 or 9 guys, but it doesn't mean you're going to bring that kind of talent off the bench. And that is very important in overtime games, close games, and games where you suffer foul trouble.
Well, I think that Jamie Gillespie was very happy to get 2 wins this year. Number 1 against St. Augustine up at the Shoot Down Cancer. We did a game up there, Atlantic City and Camden. And the other one was Atlantic City. They lost to Atlantic City the first time at their place. Didn't play very well in the fourth quarter. But in that second game, they just totally took Atlantic City out of their game in the second quarter. They got 2 points in the second quarter, no field goals. And they were able to, more importantly, I think, in that game, withstand a furious Atlantic City comeback as they turn the screws up on the defense, as they do in the fourth quarter. They didn't fade. They stayed mentally tough, and they won that game. So I think that they have come along as Jamie Gillespie wanted them to. Number one, mentally tough, and he always said, we've got to play 32 minutes. He didn't feel they did that.
Right.
Now they are starting to do that.
Exactly. And that's one of the things Coach Gillespie has talked about, is when he can get his kids to come out and play 32 minutes, they're tough. I mean, they're as good as any team in South Jersey. And that is, obviously that's what the coach, that's the chemistry and the formula that the coach has to be the mad scientist. He has to be able to reach in and pull that out, almost every night, especially from this point forward, from tonight. If they win, then Saturday, and obviously in the state playoffs, because you cannot afford any possession off when it gets into February and then into March.
And he made an interesting comment when I talked to him before that Atlantic City game. I said, okay, what's the bottom line? What's the key? He said, whoever wants it more. He said, they've wanted it more the previous 7 games. They've won the previous 7. And that's really, sometimes it's just will. Who wants it more? Because in games like this, when you have 4 teams that are so talented, the final, of course, coming up on Saturday at 2 p.m. at Stockton, which is always a very, very entertaining event. Girls first, followed by the boys championship. It's going to be who wants it more, and doesn't really matter who makes it. It's going to be a great game, right?
And I'll tell you what, it's a great venue, and it's a very exciting afternoon of basketball. And you know what, and you're 110% correct, Tony. When it comes down to these 4 teams and the way they're so evenly matched and the way they're all well coached, it's going to come down to that one big play. Who's going to be able to reach down further than the next guy and pull out of the well whatever it's going to take, to get that victory. And that's what makes the game so much fun, especially on the high school level, because these kids are playing for pride, they're playing for their school colors, they're playing for bragging rights in the neighborhood, they're playing for bragging rights when they go out on the court against each other in summer leagues and AAU ball, and it's all fun. It's fun. Well, you can't tell them right now how much fun it is, but afterwards they're all going to know how much fun they're having.
No question about it. And of course, pretty much all these teams, you certainly can say Atlantic City, St. Augustine, Holy Spirit, or even Wildwood Catholic have a tradition. And they want to maintain that tradition of playing excellent basketball. And when you get beat by one of your rivals, here's Atlantic City with another opportunity against St. Augustine after losing to them earlier. Of course, Holy Spirit, same situation. They get an opportunity to avenge their earlier loss to Wildwood Catholic. And conversely, the teams that won have an opportunity to prove that it wasn't a fluke.
And that's another good point you bring up. These teams are 4 of the most traditionally rich teams. They're not that these 4 are the most, but they do have a lot of tradition amongst the 4 of them. And it's all about, again, the pride, the school pride, and who's winning championships, who's hanging banners up in their gym so they can come back when they're done playing and look up and say, that's my year. I mean, it all means something a couple of years down the road, and sometimes, like actually tonight, they might not feel it or understand it, but they will at some point.
So Atlantic City with the basketball, it's Graves and Reynolds and Allen and Thomas and White, the starting 5. We'll get to St. Augustine in just a moment. Here's Thomas left side, outside Graves, long range jump is good. Wow. 4-3, so right off the bat, Graves sticks it. And Atlantic City, one thing, even with the lead, buddy, they have not shot the ball well from the outside. They got that 3 from Brevard, but Thomas has really not done much in the first half, and he can stick it from deep. And, of course, Graves, we know what he can do.
Yeah, up until that shot, Tony, they were 1 of 7 from beyond the arc. They are now 2 of 8. And St. Augustine is yet to hit a 3-point shot tonight.
Here's Vastoria. Up high. Throws right-hand corner. Siegel loose. Way off. Overshoots everything. And the rebound taken by Seward as Kevin Allen just fell down.
Yeah,
that's Siegel, pardon me.
Yeah, Kevin Allen just, he lost his footing, lost his balance, and basically the ball went right through his hands, right to Segal, and he was able to score the layup.
Here's Graves, right-hand corner. Reynolds, he's loose for three. It is good for back-to-back bombs for Atlantic City.
And that time, that looked like that was a set play off of a pick. And Reynolds wide open. Boy, did he shoot that ball with some arc.
Yeah.
If there's any snow flurries out there tonight, there's going to be some on that ball.
Here's Reynolds. I make that Nelson down low for the short flip. No good. Rebound taken up by Thomas. They call him for turning it over. Gene Allen saying he was bumped. Doesn't get the call. And now down is Tashad Reynolds grabbing his left calf.
Yeah, it looks like he's cramping. And that is a tough call to go against the Vikings. It's Coach Gene Allen walking down in front of the scorer's table, looks up at the stands, and puts his hands up in the air like, are you kidding me?
And Reynolds being attended to in some pain there as he sits on the court. Of course, very important player for Atlantic City. He is the main defender of Saeed Nelson.
And he also just hit a big three from the corner.
Yeah.
So if, Tashad Reynolds starts to get himself going, this early. I mean, he had 8 points to lead all Vikings in the first half. He now has 11 to lead all scorers. They can ill afford to lose him for any significant amount of time.
Here's Nelson driving the baseline with a step, just blows by his defender and easily lays it home.
Astoria comes off the right block. He lobs it over the defender's head, does Nelson to him. Astoria hands it off. Nelson right in for the layup. Now down the other end, Isaiah Graves, no help side again by St. Augustine. Graves drives the left side, left-handed, uses his left off the glass, and it's 34-27. 5:55 to go, third quarter, Atlantic City on top.
Seward to Mutz. Right-hand corner, Siegel, the jump, off the back of the rim, rebound. Here's Graves. Graves sprints to the forecourt. Graves will take it the distance, partially deflected by Mutz, but he's picking up the personal foul against Isaiah Graves, and you could see he had one thing on his mind, buddy. That is, I'm taking it to the 10.
Well, again, no Hermits got out in front of him. Saeed Nelson was chasing him down the floor. He needed to put his head down and get in front and cause him to change direction. That did not happen. Graves gets straight to the rack. Mutz picks up his first, team's first here in the second half. And Graves knocks down the first one. Trying to watch Gene Allen out of one eye, directing some sort of traffic out on the floor.
Second is also good, and interesting how he said they really were not shooting the ball well from the perimeter thus far, and boy, that changed quickly. Here's Seward. Seward loses on the pressure by Prevard. And Coach Rodeo taking the tie off and calls a timeout.
The sport coat came off, and now the tie's off.
5:36 left in the third. 36-27, Atlantic City up by 9. Now in its 82nd year as a family-owned and operated dairy company, Cumberland Dairy is one of the premier manufacturers of specialty dairy products in the United States. Look for their Fresh Life label milks and creams at your local supermarket or convenience store. Cumberland Dairy is proud to sponsor this coverage of St. Augustine Prep Sports. So Atlantic City, buddy, has come out with purpose here in this third quarter and accuracy from the perimeter, and that's really spelled the difference here as they are up by 9.
Well, the big, the first possession, Isaiah Graves knocks down that three-pointer from the left side at the top of the key. Then they come back down on the next possession, run a set play, and Tashad Reynolds knocks down that three from the right corner. That gives them an abundance of energy, and coming out of the locker room, the first 2 or 3 minutes of every quarter, especially after halftime, the first 2-3 minutes of the third quarter are very important to see who's going to establish that momentum. That being said, with 5:36 to go, we've played 2:24 here in period number 3, and the Vikings have outscored Atlantic City 10-4 to take a 9-point lead.
Here's Thomas. Thomas down the lane. Floater. Good.
Wow. That was actually a very good defensive effort by Kevin Kennedy, but Thomas made it even better offensive effort using that strong body to knock that down.
Number 1, Isaiah Graves, his second.
Isaiah Graves then picks up his second personal on a reach, 20 feet from the basket. His second, team's first of the second half, 5:22 to play. Third quarter, 38-27, Atlantic City on top.
Vastoria down low to Mutz, spins away from Allen and drops it home.
Mutz, they get the ball in the Mutz, and he says, I can be the big dog inside as he scores 2.
Here's Graves. Gene Allen calling out play from the sideline right in front of us. Thomas leaves it right-hand corner for Brevard. Here's Allen. White, short jump, way off. Rebound comes down to Thomas, and Thomas fouled by Kennedy. So even the small guys, we saw Tashad Reynolds get a rebound and finish, and here's Thomas at 5'10". He's a sophomore for Atlantic City.
You look at the body on Lamar Thomas.
Yeah.
His legs, he's wearing those long tights underneath his uniform, but you can see his calves busting through. And there, nice out of bounds play as they go to Dennis White with a lob right in front of the rim, and he puts his team back up 11.
Yeah, that's one that'll drive a coach nuts there, buddy. You just can't allow that.
Well, they ran a little misdirection, sending guys here and right and left, and he just went to the top of the rim, the front of the rim.
And there's Nelson again with the penetration. Here's Thomas against Kennedy. Kennedy with the pressure, but Thomas able to recover.
That looked ugly.
They maintain possession. Here's Graves. Seward on him, center court for Thomas. Left-hand corner finds Brevard. Now here's Allen to Graves. Graves for the jumper. No good. Rebound bounds out to Kennedy with 3:55 remaining in the third. 40-31. Nelson. Here's to Vastoria down low for the scoop. Used his body nicely there and able to drop it home. So they creep closer at 40-33 now. Atlantic City up by 7.
Yeah, Dennis White looked like a matador there fighting a bull. He just waved his cape and bailed, and Vastoria able to use him, bounced off him, and scored.
Here's Thomas for 3. That is good, and he can get hot. That could prove to be the big difference in this game. He can stick it from deep.
That was a long three-pointer by Lamar Thomas. I think he shot that from a blueberry field.
Good point, buddy. I like it. Here's Allen. I'll make that Nelson, pardon me. Head of the key. Sends right side for Vastoria. One hops right-hand corner to Kennedy. Kennedy brings it outside, returns to Vastoria right-hand corner with a pump fake down low to Nelson, but it's swatted by Graves, who came over from the weak side to reject it. And here's Reynolds checking back in for Brevard.
Seward thought he was going to have himself an uncontested layup, but Graves did a fantastic job coming way over to be in help side and blocking that and knocking it out of bounds.
And on the inbound pass, call goes against Atlantic City for Kevin Allen, picks up the personal.
Allen picks up his second, team second here in the third quarter, second half.
Kennedy to toss in. Comes into Corbo, and he's called for steps. So the traveling festival continues here.
Well, I don't know where Steve Corbo thought he was going to go with that. He had no angle with where he was when he caught the ball. So putting it on the floor or trying to make a move, he just needed to find an open man, an open teammate, and give it up. So he did not make a good decision, and the end result was a turnover.
Here's Graves outside for White. So Graves now directing the show as he gets instructions from his coach, Gene Allen, with a step. Left side almost loses to Allen. He's loose for the jumper. It's short. Rebound back tap taken by Reynolds. So Atlantic City yet again with the offensive rebound.
White that time actually might have gotten away with an over the top. Corbo looked like he had good defensive position. And that time Corbo had great defensive position as he draws the offensive foul. He draws a charge on Tashad Reynolds. His second, team's third. Great job by Steve Corbo making up for that turnover down the other end.
He leaves along with Kennedy. Back in Siegel and Mutz. Inbound pass to Vastoria with 2:10 left, third quarter. Atlantic City on top by 10, 43-33. Vastoria accelerating against White. He pushes off, and hitting the deck is White. And Vastoria picks up the offensive foul. So turnabout is fair play.
And I'll tell you what, that was a real easy call for the official. And it was right in front of Coach Paul Rodeo. But he did not like the call. But, he's going to argue for his team because momentum's going the other way right now.
Down the lane again is Graves. Graves loses possession. It might have been tipped away, but he was fouled. But let's see if they're going to call it a shooter. Yes, he will be shooting 2, Will Graves. And Graves, he's the senior. He's been through the wars. Atlantic City has won back-to-back Cape Atlantic League championships. They've won back-to-back Group 4 state championships. They are 20-2 in elimination games over the last 2 seasons.
That's pretty impressive.
I'd say.
Yeah. Those 2 losses coming in the Tournament of Champions.
That's right. One to St. Anthony's and the other to St. Joseph Metuchen, featuring 7-foot Carl Towns on his way to Kentucky next year. Second also good. 45-33. But Graves has come out here in the second half, and he has been extremely aggressive. He just wants to carry this team on his back. He wants them to advance. Thus far, it's been working out. Here's Nelson, deep along the left sideline. Double team outside Vastoria. Underneath to Mutz, who drops it home. So a good look there by Vastoria as Atlantic City double team Nelson. Then Vastoria found Mutz loose underneath.
And that play went sophomore, freshman layup.
Here's Graves again down the lane. Has it poked away. Last touch out of bounds by Graves. 45-35. The Vikings up by 10 with 1:22 left, third quarter. Here's Nelson. Looks over at Coach Paul Rodeo. Got his 800th victory this year. Center court, Seward. Approaching a minute to go here in this third. Here's Seward off the pick from Vastoria. Gives off to Siegel. Down the lane, he's got the scoop, and he's got 2.
And then again, a good job that time by the Hermits, spreading the Atlantic City defense. Coach Gene Allen not happy with his team's effort that time. A wide open layup, and it's now an 8-point game, 45-37. 34 seconds to play third quarter.
Here's Thomas. Free throw line jump. Yes.
Wow. Boy, Thomas made that look easy.
Down court on the other end. Siegel has it blocked from behind by Thomas, so does it on both ends, but he picks up the personal foul coming from behind.
Fouls on Atlantic City, number 4. Lamar Thomas is third.
But he picks up his third personal, but just 23 seconds and change left here in this third quarter. Siegel will be at the free throw line to shoot 2. 47-37. The Vikings on top. 13 thus far unofficially for Siegel, but the first is good.
I guess Coach Gene Allen was either telling Brian Kniff from Mount Ulmer that Thomas now has 3 fouls.
He comes out. Brevard back in for the Vikings. Now up 47-38. Second is good. Kennedy back in, replacing Siegel here in the closing moments of quarter number 3. Inbounding will be Kevin Allen, looking, continues to look, still looking. Up court it comes to Graves. It's knocked out of his hands by Kennedy. Gene Allen coming out giving some instruction on how to get that inbound pass or play that long pass. Atlantic City will play undoubtedly for the final shot. Graves has it poked away, and now Graves is called for over and back.
And it is now 47-39, and the Hermits creating another big turnover right there. And they're going to have the ball, and they throw it right away.
At least you thought they were going to have it, as in stealing the basketball, I should say, is Tashad Reynolds. He loses out of bounds, but it was last touched. by the Hermits. The switch on the inbound here is now Graves replaces Allen to trigger. Looking in, still looking. And they call Nelson on a hold on the inbound. Again, a non-shooting affair. Team's foul number 5, second on Nelson.
And that will be the 5th team foul against St. Augustine. 47-39, Atlantic City on top. 9.8 seconds to play here in the third quarter.
Here's White with the inbound pass. Free throw line jumper is off the back of the rim. No good. 5 seconds left. Vastoria.
Plenty of time.
Here's Nelson down court. Throws it away, so Atlantic City will have 1.3 seconds left. And it all matters how the inbound pass goes. Here's White down court to Reynolds. He catches between 2 defenders, but just cannot get it off in time.
Nice football play.
Yeah. So Atlantic City extends to a 47-39 lead at the end of 3 quarters. Cape Atlantic League basketball is brought to you by Ulmer's Appliance Service with 4 offices to serve you. Phone 609-399-4398 for information. Ulmer's Appliance Service by Remax at the Shore. The Jersey Shore real estate experts. Phone 609-523-9494 and let the experts find you a home at the Shore. Signal Graphics on Tilton Road at Egg Harbor Township is your local commercial printer with personal service you expect. Cut out the middleman. Save time, save money. Signal Graphics prints full color in-house. Signal's state-of-the-art equipment and expert printing staff allows them to produce an excellent product at a very low cost. For a fast turnaround and great prices, call the Gunnels. Riley, Kay, or Chris, 609-569-9990. And for special service, ask for Chugger. That's Signal Graphics. Well, buddy, Atlantic City pretty much did what they wanted to do in that third quarter. They stuck a couple of threes and got some perimeter shooting and also continued to rebound well.
But importantly here, too, with that all that momentum that Atlantic City seized in that third quarter, they are up just 8. Or should I say, St. Augustine is down only 8. And now the Hermits inbound the ball to start the fourth quarter. This is a very big possession. St. Augustine needs to do something positive right here on the offensive end.
Here's Mutz. One hops right sideline for Kennedy. Down low to Vastoria, and they don't get it done as Vastoria could not reach the pass and loses out of bounds.
And that is not the definition of positive. That was a turnover. Trying to go down low. It was a good design play, just not a good post-entry pass down to Michael Vastoria by Kevin Kennedy.
So here's Graves. To Reynolds, returns to Graves, nearly picked off by Kennedy. Here's Graves,
nice
underneath
pass.
to White all alone. He misses it. The free follow is no good. The back tap is taken by Thomas. Fortunate for Atlantic City. They fought for the rebound and got it, but White had a point blank.
A wide open layup and then a putback.
Graves lobs left-hand corner to Thomas. Has a notion, does not shoot. He can stick it from there. Cross-court White. Underneath to the driving Reynolds. He was all alone and he drops it home.
The smallest guy on the court for the Vikings. Wide open under the right side of the basket. They find him and he makes St. Augustine pay.
And, buddy, that all as the result of their offensive rebound that they got those second and third shots.
Yep, that's what happens. You keep giving them opportunities, and they're eventually going to cash them in.
And Reynolds bumping Saeed Nelson as he drove down the lane. That's team foul number 6 against the Vikings. So next one will put St. Augustine over the limit. And Nelson, as you just saw, so quick. I mean, he can just jet right by you, and he did right there. And
he could definitely jet right by me.
Well,
Reynolds picks up his third foul.
Here's Vastoria on the floater down the lane, and he hits.
Nice strong move that time by the sophomore, Mike Vastoria.
Graves accelerating on Mutz, right-hand corner, Thomas. Back to Graves, and Graves, of course, the senior, going to take control here, directing the show. Reynolds to Graves. Graves now double-teamed. Sends left side. Reynolds is upping the defensive pressure here. St. Augustine, and Mutz picks it up.
And right now, Atlantic City in a spread offense, a little bit of a 2-1-2, looking to create something either off the dribble or find somebody on the back side of their offense, like they did the last time for Reynolds. Under 6 minutes to go.
Graves nearly had it stolen again by Kennedy, but able to recover. Seward is in, replacing Siegel for the Hermits. 49-41 Atlantic City. 5:45 left in this game. Here's White. White looking. Dishes right side for Reynolds. Watched by Saeed Nelson. Both go at 5'8". He leaves it for Thomas, and he brings it back outside. So something you don't see too much of here, buddy. Atlantic City being very, very patient on offense.
Well, right now with the 8-point lead, yep. He is lucky he did not get called for a push off, because that would have been Lamar Thomas's fourth. But instead, it's the 5-second call, and that's a big turnover. And again, Coach Gene Allen going over to Isaiah Graves saying, you got to go to the ball. That time, all the Viking teammates for Lamar Thomas were running. They ran away from him. You run away from him, he's got nowhere to throw it. And Nelson did a great job in drawing that 5-second call.
Here's Nelson. Watched by Graves, gets the pick from Vastoria to the right side, down the lane, and he loses possession. It's recovered by Atlantic City. They break 2-on-1. Graves ahead of everybody for the scoop that is good. And he was fouled on the play. Very good is Isaiah Graves at finishing. When he gets a step on you, it's pretty much two, and Gene Allen comes out and congratulates and pats on the back Lamar Thomas, because while Graves made the finish and made the bucket, it was Thomas who looked up the court and saw Graves sprinting down court and made the pass.
And Graves made a great catch. Then he turned around and, as you said, put the ball on the floor, and he went to the rim with authority. Was able to absorb the foul on Mutz, which was Justin Mutz's third, team seventh. Graves finishes the three-point play the old-fashioned way by burying the free throw.
And Nelson looking to drive it down the lane, and he was fouled by Graves, who grabs his left leg.
Atlantic City number 1, Isaiah Graves, his third.
They really ran into each other there. That was almost like Isaiah Graves was coming over to cut him off, and he kind of tripped or stumbled. Might have taken a knee from Nelson to his left thigh.
17 foul does put him over the limit. Check that, pardon me. We got it backwards. St. Augustine with the 17 foul, so Atlantic City's in the 1-on-1. Atlantic City only with 6. Inbound pass to Mutz. Mutz with a floater that he hits over White.
And a great no call. A great no call. Dennis White tried to flop and draw a foul. Justin Mutz, the freshman, with a beautiful left baseline move, knocks down the jump shot. Pulls his team to within 9, 52-43, 4:27 to go in the game.
Graves loses out of bounds. Last touch, they say, by Graves. Graves does not like the call?
No, he does not like the call, but right now Isaiah Graves just needs to be under control emotionally and stay in the game mentally. Whether that call, that was like a 50-50 call. That could have went either way, and either side would not have been happy.
I could see what he was looking at, though. You saw the whole lane open up for him, and he said, I got this, but then had it poked away, and then he loses. The jumper's deflected and taken off by Reynolds. Reynolds down court. It's 3-on-1. Reynolds down the lanes for the scoop. It is good.
Reynolds probably should have given that ball up ahead to Isaiah Graves, but he knew he could take Nelson off the dribble, and that's what he did. His team now back up 11, 54-43.
Here's Siegel down the lane. Forced jumper is no good. Rebound taken off by Allen. Allen up court to White.
Now they got numbers again.
3-on-1 underneath to Reynolds. No good, but he was fouled on the play, and they're getting their transition game going big time here. And if that's the case, it's not good news for St. Augustine.
Well, here we go with what we had talked about earlier. Atlantic City at the end of that first half, you called it, Tony. They started substituting. They started playing the end of the bench. They were protecting guys that had 2 fouls in the first half, so they wouldn't have to worry about playing into the second half with already having that third foul. they were playing the guys 8 through 9 and still turning up the pressure, still going to the locker room at halftime with a 3-point lead. Now they are fresh. They got their starters out there. They're still mixing in some of those bench players. They're fresh. They're full of energy. And they have just had 2 straight 3-on-1s, then a 4-on-2 prior to that. So they're beating St. Augustine up and down the floor right now. And you can see some of the Hermit players, they are bent over, holding their shorts, and that's a sign that we're tired, and they're just trying to catch their breath right now. And that's what happens when you play with the type of intensity, and if you can get that level up the way Atlantic City wants to, and that's what we're seeing right now. And right now, that is the difference.
And the Boardwalk Honda Game of the Week is produced by Prime Events on 97.3 ESPN FM. Check out their online inventory at boardwalkhonda.com. And one more thing, buddy, is I think that Atlantic City is just quicker. They're getting to the loose balls much more in this game than are the Hermits.
Oh, and absolutely. And that's another reason why they were getting, throughout the game, second and third opportunities for offensive rebounds and getting those putbacks, because they are quicker. They're quicker, obviously, and to be quicker, you have to have quicker feet. So their feet are a little quicker.
That's right. That's any coach you talk to will tell you that you don't play defense with your hands, you play defense with your feet. First is good by Reynolds. So Atlantic City up now 55-43. If I'm not mistaken, this is their biggest lead of the game with 3:44 left.
That is correct.
Here's the second by Reynolds, and he shoots him high, and second is no good. Rebound to Mutz. 3:40 left as Nelson moves it across. Nelson down the lane. Nelson with a scoop. That is good. So Nelson with 13. 10-point lead for Atlantic City. Inbound pass taken by Siegel on the steal, and he is fouled. So a little bit of defense there played by St. Augustine, and now they'll have an opportunity to cut it to under 10.
Well, good job that time by the Hermits. They scored. They know from this point forward they got to bring out that full court pressure. They got the turnover that they needed, and then Siegel gets fouled going up for the shot. However, he misses the first free throw, and there's no better way to when you're trailing to get back into the game by going to the foul line, because the clock is stopped and you can score points. And that's something that St. Augustine's going to try, obviously, to do here with 3:26 to go, is to take the ball to the rim, try and get fouled, and score the basket.
So inbounding, Allen to Graves, double team. Graves fires up court to Reynolds. And they're going to try to work clock again as they did the last time down.
Great job that time by Reynolds coming back to the ball. You won't see a lot of guys do that. They leave their teammate hanging. Reynolds recognized, came back to the ball.
Right-hand corner, White outside to Isaiah Graves, gives off to Reynolds, but he has it poked away from behind. The steal by the Hermits. Underneath to the cutting Vastoria, and he loses. It was actually behind him, the pass from Nelson. And interesting, though, Nelson had a notion that he was going to shoot it from three. Instead, he saw Vastoria down low and just threw it behind him.
Well, and Vastoria thought he was going to shoot it, so he took his eye off of Nelson to get ready to be there on that weak side for that offensive putback if he missed. And therefore, it ends up being a turnover, because the two sophomores weren't seeing eye to eye.
At the other end, it'll be Reynolds shooting 1 and 1. Next team fouled by St. Augustine. They'll be in the double bonus, so Atlantic City will be at the free throw line shooting 2 the rest of the way. First is no good. Rebound to Vastoria with 2:40 remaining. 55-46, the Vikings. Here's Nelson. Nelson again with a step. Nelson down the lane, and Nelson fouled by White. White didn't understand the call, thought he got the basketball, but so that's one thing that they're going to have, Atlantic City is going to have to do, buddy, is keep him from doing that. Nelson. And on the other hand, Nelson's going to do his best to get to the basket.
Well, that time they're going to call that foul on Dennis White. That's going to be his third, team's eighth. And they're going to say White got him with the body because Nelson actually ran into or bumped him from behind because as White was going up, he spun and had his back to Nelson, and Nelson ran into his back trying to shoot the layup. But White was up in the air, so it was his foul.
So he hits 2, does Nelson.
Now it's a 7-point game. 55-48. 2:34 to go.
And the inbound pass, as you saw, if you're watching this on 97.3 ESPN.com, foul was Nelson on Graves.
And we welcome our listeners on the FM signal, 97.3, who have joined us in progress a little after 6 o'clock. 2:34 to go here in the semifinal Cape Atlantic League tournament game.
Graves misses the first. White jumps in to get the rebound, not knowing that it's a 1-and-1. So Graves will get another.
Yes, it was a 2-shot foul. And Saeed Nelson, that last foul, Tony, on Nelson, was his 4th.
So Graves with the second, and that one rattles home. 20 unofficially for Graves. 2:32 remaining. 56-48, the Vikings. Nelson, watched by Thomas, puts on the floor, stutter stepping, pulls up for the jump. It is no good. Rebound is taken off by Siegel, but they say Siegel stepped on the end line, so it will be Atlantic City basketball. Checking in is Birch replacing Siegel for St. Augustine. Well, this is a critical possession here, more for probably St. Augustine than Atlantic City. Right sideline. Here's Reynolds holding the basketball. Got to be careful here. They already turned it over one time with a 5-second violation. So Reynolds, double team. Reynolds is fouled. And again, remember, it's 2 shots. So every time they step to the free throw line, they get 2. Siegel getting set to report back in. Birch and Siegel looking to do the offensive-defensive substitution.
Which makes a big difference as far as pressure when you're shooting that 1-and-1.
Yeah.
And Birch picks up his first. Team has been at the 10 foul limit.
Here's Reynolds with the first that he hits. And Tashad Reynolds, but he has had a very, very good game. Unofficially has 17. And of course, his job was to guard the play, Saeed Nelson, and that's not easy.
No, it's not, and he has kept Saeed Nelson in check. Nelson hasn't been able to get on track offensively. 58-48. Reynolds makes both free throws. We're coming up on the 2-minute mark. Under 2 minutes to play now in this basketball game.
Here's Nelson, left side. Nelson stutter stepping on Reynolds down the lane for the scoop. That is good. Thing that Atlantic City doesn't want to do, they want to play good defense, but they don't want to foul. And now the turnover, but taken back by Allen as Astoria couldn't control. Allen is fouled. Here's Kennedy, gets him from behind. And Gene Allen wanted him to give the basketball up.
He wanted to give it to a guard. He's like, you had Isaiah Graves right here, give it to him. And obviously that's, you want Kevin Allen to get himself where he's best, and that's in the lane or block the block. But Kevin Allen, it's typical player. He knows it's foul time. He knows they're going to get fouled. He says, I want to shoot free throws.
Officials escorting Gene back to the sideline as he was on the court by a few steps, but that's Gene Allen. First is no good by Allen.
No relation.
No. 58-50, 1:39 remain in this first semifinal. The number 3 seed Atlantic City Vikings on top. The second is good.
Now it's a 3-possession game. Still plenty of time. Plenty of time left in this one.
Inbound pass to Kennedy. The one-hop pass ahead for Siegel. Siegel leaves it left side for Kennedy. Left-hand corner. It goes for Mutz, and the blocking foul called on Atlantic City. And again, this is what Gene Allen does not want. He doesn't want to put him at the free throw line with the clock stopped.
1:29 to go, 59-50. Kevin Allen picks up his fourth, ninth team foul, so Mutz will be shooting a 1-and-1. But from here on out, both teams will be shooting 2.
First is good by the freshman. 6'5" freshman. Corbo getting set to report in probably after this free throw. Kneeling down at the scorer's table. Second, rattles and drops. And Mutz will sit. Corbo checks in. The senior replacing the freshman. With 1:29 left, it's 59-52 Atlantic City. Here is Isaiah Graves in the backcourt. Watched by Kennedy. Veering to his left. Fires left side. And it's tapped out of bounds. Last touch by Atlantic City. So Atlantic back in as Siegel, by the way, replacing Birch, and back in as Mutz, replacing Corbo.
And again, Tony, that was a big turnover. 1:18 left. It's 59-52, and it's here we go. Oh, not a good foul.
Siegel looking for the reverse, doesn't get it, but he was fouled on the play. Now 1:13 left.
Well, Siegel, he did a good job in gathering himself just to make an attempt, because he was awkward coming off of that pass, and then the way he caught it and had it turn, he did not have a good angle at the basket. So Graves bails him out, picking up his fourth personal foul. 1:13 to go, and when we come back, it's going to be the Hermits on the line shooting 2, and it's going to be Nate Segal.
Interstate Batteries, America's #1 replacement battery, is at 6064 Riga Avenue at EHT. Phone number at 609-646-5008. If you need a battery, you'll find it at Interstate Batteries, tested and trusted. The McMahon Insurance Agency of Ocean City, Moore and Mays Landing. Call them 609-399-0060 or online at McMahonAgency.com. The coverage you need, the service that you deserve. Game also brought to you with best wishes of everyone at Calvi Electric at Atlantic City, who encourage you to get out and support your favorite high school team each and every week. So Atlantic City turns it over, and Siegel has gotten a couple of those breakouts here in this fourth quarter. Just gets down court, beats everybody else down, and they find him, and he draws the personal.
Well, he's always done a good job, Tony, in breaking, running the break. He's quick. He gets out on the wing, and he plays both ends of the floor very, very hard. Now he's at the line shooting 2.
The first is good.
Now it's a 6-point game. So it went from a 3-possession game to a 2-possession game.
He gets another. Hits them both. Birch checks in for Siegel. Inbounding will be Kevin Allen. Comes to Graves. Graves has it stolen by Nelson. Nelson down the lane. Nelson for the scoop. It is no good, and it's knocked away and out of bounds. They say last touch by Mutz. So Atlantic City having some difficulty inbounding the basketball. I mean, they get it in, but...
Well, they're having a tough time advancing it against this Hermit pressure. And there's a turnover on the inbounds play. The referee says that Kevin Allen stepped over the end line before he inbounded the ball, and that is a huge turnover. Just a minute 4. I mean, there is a lot of time. This clock, it's almost like it hasn't even ticked.
Here's Nelson. Nelson spinning against Thomas. Nelson with a jumper, and they say he was fouled. So if he was fouled shooting 3, he will shoot 3.
Now that's an interesting call. I mean, obviously nobody's going to dispute, but he was bringing the ball back down like he was going to pass it when he got fouled. It is now a 4-point game. 58.4 seconds left to play.
Second.
It was.
Is good.
59-48. St. Augustine has now scored 8 straight. And Nelson can pull them within 2.
He does not. Rebound comes down to Graves. Calls time. So, here's the situation. Atlantic City on top by 3. 53.6 seconds remaining in this basketball game. The Vikings lead it by 3. The winner to advance to the Cape Atlantic League Championship on Saturday afternoon against the winner of our next game between Wildwood Catholic and Holy Spirit. Vic Sub Shop at 742 Ohio Avenue in Absecon. Phone 645-0500. Vic's is open 7 days a week until 8 p.m. on weeknights, 9:30 on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Vic Sub Shop, Ohio Avenue in Absecon. And the Boardwalk Honda Game of the Week is produced by Prime Events on 97.3 ESPN FM. Brian Vermel and his professional staff are waiting to serve you at Boardwalk Honda in Egg Harbor Township. So Atlantic City have tried again on the inbound. They've had difficulty of late. Looking, still looking, and this one is down court to Reynolds, and he is fouled by Nelson.
And that will be it for Saeed Nelson. He is just fouled out of tonight's basketball game. But his team is down just 3, as it looked like this one might have been over around the 3-minute mark, but there was still a lot of time, and Coach Paul Rodeo and his staff just did a fabulous job keeping their kids focused and keeping their heads in the game to get them back into, with 52 seconds left, there's still a lot of time.
Here's Tashad Reynolds, who's had an outstanding game with 18 points, has played good defense, and will shoot 2 first. Yes.
And it is now a 2-possession game. 60-56, Atlantic City on top. 52.1 seconds left.
Of course, there's a big difference now with Nelson on the bench. That penetration threat is not eliminated, certainly, but not nearly what it was with him on the floor.
Well, now Kevin Kennedy is going to have to become the primary ball handler. So a lot of pressure is going to be put on him. Atlantic City pulls back their pressure.
5-point lead. Here's Seward. Seward leaves it for Vastoria to the baseline for the jumper. That is good.
Tough shot by Mike Vastoria. The sophomore knocks down the 15-foot jump shot. Coach Paul Rodeo calls a quick timeout. 61-58, Atlantic City on top. 41.9 seconds left.
The Heist Agency, with convenient offices in Ocean City, Margate, Egg Harbor Township, Marmora, and Vineland. You'll find them online, that is, at heistagency.com. Remember, Thomas H. Heist when you need insurance. And Just 4 Wheels in the White Horse Pike in Absecon, Rio Grande Avenue in Wildwood, Route 50 in Mays Landing, and Kerry Egan, 16th and Simpson in Ocean City. Be smart. Rent at Just 4 Wheels. So here we are, 41.9 seconds remaining in this basketball game. Atlantic City, who has led throughout, on top, 61-58. And they will be inbounding, something they have had difficulty doing of late. Kevin Allen set the trigger. Looking, still looking. Comes in to White. White to Allen. Up court it goes to Graves. Graves, played by Kennedy, and he is fouled with 34.6 left.
See, Coach Gene Allen keeps sending those football players to half court to come back to the ball, play like defensive backs, wide receivers with the guys with the good hands.
Yeah.
Go up, they make the catch, they turn, spin.
First by Graves is short.
This one's a big one because it makes it a 2-possession game. 61-58, 34.6 seconds. The senior going back to the line.
Graves averages 19. Here's the second. It is good.
Nothing but the bottom of the net.
62-58, 33 seconds left. Atlantic City leads it. Here's Seward, watched by Thomas. To the right baseline. Backing his way, turns for the fadeaway.
Wow, what a tough shot.
His first two of the basketball game, and Paul Rodeo complaining that when he was driving the baseline that he was fouled but didn't get the call.
But that could have went either way. They could have called Segal for a forearm. It could have been an offensive foul. He used his left forearm a little too much aggressively to fend off the defender. And yes, did he get bumped? But did he create the contact? That was a good no call. End result, Segal drives baseline, pulls up, and hits the little jump shot. 62-60. The Hermits take another timeout because they've been very successful in defending Atlantic City and inbounding the ball from full and having to go to length of the court. St. Augustine's gotten some nice turnovers, and obviously on the Vikings end, Coach Gene Allen is drawing up a design play here to make sure, if nothing else, his team at least gets the ball in before the 5-second count.
Sure, they want to get it in the hands of Isaiah Graves.
Or Reynolds. Tashad Reynolds, And even Lamar Thomas. He's done a good job handling the basketball. At least they have options out there. And then they got Dennis White as your safety valve.
And it comes to White, and he is fouled immediately by Mutz. So Dennis White will move to the free throw line to shoot two. First trip, I believe, for White to the charity stripe.
So in that situation, Tony, Coach Gene Allen made sure he had three of his better ball handlers, if not his best ball handlers on the floor in Thomas, Reynolds, and Graves. And again, he had Dennis White at half court, who popped right to the foul line, running back to the ball as the safety valve.
And of course, I'm sure that Coach Rodeo said this is the guy we want to foul, and so far it's turned out as he misses the first short.
And this one is obviously again big because it's going to be a one-possession game, but you'd rather have it being a one-possession game needing a three than a two to tie, or now a three could win it. And that's way short. That's an air ball. That is an air ball. Wow. Well, you do not see that very much at the end of a game like this.
So 20 seconds left. St. Augustine down by 2. Here's Seward driving, and he's called for the offensive foul.
That was a great defensive play. And that was a no doubt about offensive foul.
And on the inbound, this time they get it to Reynolds, and he was fouled by Seward. So Atlantic City making an effort to get it to someone like a Reynolds or a Graves, who they feel has a much better opportunity of cashing in on these free throws than did White, who struggled at the free throw line when he had his last 2 attempts.
And again, White is your safety valve, You want him to pop to the ball, being a big guy, catch, turn, and get rid of it as quick as he can, hopefully to a wide open player.
So here's Reynolds, who can pretty much, I don't want to say put it away, but make it a 2-possession game here if he hits them both.
And Seward fouls out of the game. That's his 5th. Coach Paul Rodeo taking all of the allotted time to make the substitution.
And they substitute with Kennedy, and Buddy, he hit the dagger against Atlantic City in their first meeting from deep in the right-hand corner, a 3 that kind of put the game away for the Hermits. So here is Tashad Reynolds, who's had an outstanding game on both ends, has 20 points, has played excellent defense on Nelson, and he gets 2. First is good.
Wow. And one thing about Reynolds, he puts an arc on the ball, whether it's his jump shot or his free throws.
First is good, and he gets a second. 63-60, 12.3 left in the game. for the right to advance to Saturday's championship game against the winner of our second game, which you'll hear right here at 97.3 ESPN FM. Second good.
And that was big, obviously, as you said. 64-60, 12.3 left in the game.
And they don't want to foul here, Atlantic City. Just let them take the three if they want to. Here's Astoria down the lane. His jumper no good, and the rebound snared by Isaiah Graves with 1.4 seconds left. And Gene Allen clapping in front of us. He thinks he's got this one, and I think I have to agree with him with 1.4.
With 1.4 seconds, if I was in Atlantic City, I'd say this was a safe bet.
Always trying the cleverality there. Very good. I like that. That was clever. I like it. So here's Graves. 64-60, 1.4 seconds left. The pressure really off, but he misses the first, but it doesn't really matter. I don't think you can score twice in 1.4, although I don't know if I look it up, it might have happened. Here's the second. It is good. Atlantic City's just going to let him inbound, and that's it. So Atlantic City beats St. Augustine 65-60, and they will advance to Saturday's game for the championship of the Cape Atlantic League tournament against the winner of Holy Spirit and Wildwood Catholic, and they avenge an earlier defeat to the hands of St. Augustine. And we're going to try to get some of Atlantic City's players and certainly Coach Gene Allen on the air here. And, buddy, it was a game that lived up to expectations. There were times there, as you mentioned, where we thought it might have pretty much been in the hands of Atlantic City. They went up by 12 in the second half, came out very, very strong in the third quarter, but St. Augustine, mentally tough, came back, and they had opportunities down the stretch.
Well, and when you have teams of this quality, this level of talent, and the way these two squads are coached, teams, they're going to make runs. And, you know, what's going to happen, Tony, you know, Atlantic City's going to make a run, and Coach Gene Allen, they know a run's coming back at them. And right now, at courtside, we have Brian Kniff with Atlantic City Vikings coach Gene Allen.
Okay, we're here with Gene Allen. Congratulations on the win, Gene. I know it got a little hairy at the end, but you pulled it out.
Yeah, we're our worst enemy. There's times where we go through situations every time, but today we didn't handle it too well, but we were fortunate enough that Tashad Reynolds played a whale of a game today and pulled us through.
I believe it was Dennis that took the big charge late. Obviously a real big play in this game.
Well, he knew he had to do something to make up for the air ball foul shot. Otherwise, he would be walking home tonight.
Tell me about to be in the Cape Atlantic League final. I mean, when you look around South Jersey, this league contains 4 or 5 of the best teams in the region. So to be able to play for the final, it's really got to mean a lot.
It really does. With the fact that, we lost to them earlier, and I believe the Cape this year is the best league in South Jersey. It's an honor to represent and play in the final.
And what about this atmosphere? I mean, the semifinals, you've played in them now every year since this tournament, and the atmosphere is unbelievable here.
It's absolutely unbelievable. We look forward to it every year, and I hope we continue to get here. It's a very exciting situation and environment.
And obviously at this point you don't know who your opponent's going to be yet, but with Wildwood Catholic and Holy Spirit, what are you thinking looking ahead to Saturday?
I'm not thinking anything right now, to be honest with you. I just want to savor this for about 15, 20 minutes. Then we'll come out and we'll scout and put together our game plan on whoever wins. It's going to be a great game.
Okay, all right, good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you, Brian. And Coach Gene Allen, always with a little comedy thrown in there. Dennis White, I hope he had his walking shoes on if he didn't take that charge, because Gene said he would have been walking home, but
hope he had toll money.
And Bud, why don't you take a look at some of the statistics? I think that's probably going to be the telling statistics there.
Well, what happened here in this game, it ended up the turnovers were something we were keeping an eye on there in the first half, because it was the way it was going. And then Atlantic City turned it over 18 times. St. Augustine turned it over 17 times. Shooting-wise, now this is a statistic that really both teams in the second half, Atlantic City shot 21 for 41, including 4 of 12 from beyond the arc. They were 12 of 19 from the foul line. They had a total of 26 rebounds, to 17 boards for the Prep. The big number, though, that jumps out at you, Tony, is the offensive rebounds. They had 11. 11 offensive rebounds did the Vikings, and we know that's where they got putbacks. They probably scored at least 14 points off of second and third opportunities. So that was a big difference right there. You know, for the Hermits, they shot 22 for 41. And their downfall, they did not make a three-point shot tonight. They were 0 for 7 from beyond the arc. They were 16 of 19 from the foul line, so the Hermits shot very Hermit-like free throws. They shot the free throw very well. And they had 17 rebounds, again, out-rebounded by 9 by the Vikings. 5 offensive, 12 defensive. And as I had said earlier, they turned it over 17 times. They had 7 steals. Atlantic City had 5. And on the assist totals, St. Augustine had 10, and Atlantic City had 7. So, you know, it was a hard-fought game, well played, and it was a type of game, you know, where both teams, the intensity level was there for 32 minutes. And you got to give these kids credit. And it's another one of those games where, hey, somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. But you know what? Tonight, obviously, Atlantic City moves on to Stockton on Saturday. But in a game like that, there really are no losers. I mean, those kids came to play.
No question. It's a pleasure watching these games. It's almost as if you're sitting at the Final Four, and always the semifinals are the best 2 games, and then you move on to the finals. But these semifinal games here from Hammonton, I mean, last year, you remember the game, you called it, Middle Township against St. Augustine. What a classic that was.
Absolutely.
So we look forward to the second game. Don't forget, you can hear it right here at 97.3 ESPN FM as Holy Spirit takes on Wildwood Catholic. Well, the first game, Atlantic City avenges their earlier loss to St. Augustine, and of course Holy Spirit's going to be trying to do the same thing. And you just wonder if Atlantic City maybe learned something in that first loss, that they were able to strategize a little bit differently here tonight against St. Augustine, and that put them over the top. That made the difference. So we are now watching Holy Spirit, who's out on the court warming up to our left. And we, again, are going to bring you that second game. It's Holy Spirit against Wildwood Catholic. And broadcasts of Cape Atlantic League Sports are brought to you with the support of the McMahon Insurance Agency, voted National Flood Insurance Program Agency of the Year, specializing in home, business, auto, flood, and boat insurance. McMahon Agency turns protection into peace of mind. If it matters to you, it matters to them. Call them at 609-399-0060 or online at McMahonAgency.com. Your neighbors in the McMahon Agency send best wishes for a successful season to all Cape Atlantic League athletes. The McMahon Insurance Agency of Ocean City, Mora, and Mays Landing. The coverage you need, the service you deserve. So, once again, the final score in the first semifinal of the Cape Atlantic League tournament, Atlantic City winning it 65-60. Buddy Tarbotton, this is Tony Blum. Buddy, enjoyed working with you as always.
As always, Tony.
And stay tuned for the second game, Holy Spirit and Wildwood Catholic. So long for now.
Just leave it there, that's fine. Yes, I'll ask Jamie when he comes out. All right? We picked the game up. We started the game at the start of the third quarter.